First strike. The Archean Empire's warships emerged from hyperspace like a storm of obsidian daggers, their crystalline hulls drinking in the light of Sol. Admiral Cora watched Earth's blue sphere through all 7 of her optical arrays, mandibles clicking in what passed for amusement among her species. The primitive planet had no planetary shield, no defense grid, not even a proper orbital ring. Just scattered satellites and a handful of crude military stations. Preliminary scans complete, Admiral, her second-in-command reported. Their most advanced weapons are fusion-based. No quantum shielding, no faster-than-light capabilities. They're barely out of their gravity well. Cora's primary hearts pulsed with anticipation. The Archean Empire had subjugated 1,000 worlds, each more advanced than this backwater. This would be routine. A standard show of force, followed by immediate surrender. These humans would join the Empire's client species, providing resources and labor like all the rest. Open communications, she commanded. Let's get this over with. But Captain Sarah Chen of the UES Defiant had other plans. She stood on her bridge, watching the alien armada through reinforced viewports. The massive vessels made her ship look like a toy in comparison. But 20 years in Earth's Space Force had taught her that size wasn't everything. "They're hailing us, Captain," her communications officer reported. "Put them through." The alien that appeared on her view screen was a sight to behold. A towering insectoid being with multiple eyes and iridescent kitten. Its mandibles moved in complex patterns as it spoke, the words translated by the ship's eye. "People of Earth, I am Admiral Cora of the Archean Empire. Your civilization has been deemed suitable for integration. Surrender now and become part of the greatest empire the galaxy has ever known. Resist and be destroyed." Sarah allowed herself a small smile. "Admiral, I am Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth Defense Force. While we appreciate your offer, I'm afraid we must decline." The alien's mandibles clicked rapidly, perhaps their version of laughter. "You have no choice, human. Your technology is primitive. Your defenses are negligible. We could destroy your entire civilization with a single volley." "Perhaps," Sarah replied calmly. "But I think you'll find that humanity has a few surprises in store. You see, we've been expecting visitors like you." The alien's posture shifted slightly. "Expecting? Of course. Did you think we wouldn't notice the probes you've been sending? The disappearances at the edge of our system? We've been preparing for this moment for decades." This wasn't entirely true. They had detected alien activity, but had no idea when first contact would occur. But Sarah had learned long ago that confidence was half the battle. "Your preparations are irrelevant," Cora declared. "You cannot hope to match our technology." "That's where you're wrong, Admiral. Technology isn't everything. History has taught us that lesson repeatedly. The most advanced army doesn't always win. Sometimes, it's the one willing to think differently." As if on cue, proximity alarms blared across the Archean fleet. Hundreds of small objects had appeared seemingly out of nowhere, surrounding their ships. "Impossible," Cora's second-in-command exclaimed. "Our sensors detect no power signatures." "That's because you're looking for the wrong things," Sarah explained. "We learned long ago that the best technology isn't always the most obvious. Those objects you're detecting, they're just the beginning." The small devices activated simultaneously, creating a complex web of gravitational distortions. The Archean ship's quantum sensors went haywire, unable to compensate for the unexpected interference. "This is your only warning," Sarah continued. "Leave our system now, or discover firsthand why humanity has survived every catastrophe we've ever faced. We're not just another species for you to subjugate. We're survivors, innovators, and when necessary, warriors." Cora's mandibles clicked in fury. "You dare threaten the Archean Empire? Open fire. Destroy their pathetic fleet." But as the alien ships charged their weapons, they discovered another surprise. Their quantum-based targeting systems couldn't lock onto the human vessels. Somehow, These primitives had developed countermeasures that shouldn't have been possible with their level of technology. "Last chance, Admiral," Sarah warned. "The next demonstration won't be so gentle." The hidden edge. The Archon fleet's first volley missed completely, their advanced weapons finding only empty space where human ships had been moments before. Admiral Cora's fury turned to confusion as reports flooded in from her fleet. "Targeting systems are malfunctioning across all ships," her weapons officer reported. "The humans are using some kind of primitive but effective electronic warfare we've never encountered before." "Impossible," Cora hissed. "They're using radio waves and basic computer systems. How could they possibly interfere with our quantum technology?" The answer came in the form of a coordinated human counterattack. What the Archons had dismissed as debris and defunct satellites suddenly activated, revealing themselves as a complex network of defensive platforms. But instead of using advanced energy weapons or quantum torpedoes, they employed something far more basic and far more clever. Thousands of small metallic spheres were launched from the platforms, spreading out like a glittering cloud. The Archon fleet's sensors registered them as simple masses of metal and ceramic, primitive kinetic weapons that their shields could easily deflect. But these weren't ordinary projectiles. As they approached the alien ships, they began to spin, creating overlapping magnetic fields that played havoc with the Archon's sensitive quantum systems. The aliens had built their entire military around advanced technology, never considering that someone might find a way to turn that sophistication against them. "Status report," Cora demanded as her flagship systems began to fluctuate. "The humans are using some kind of magnetic warfare," her science officer explained. "Their projectiles are creating interference patterns that are disrupting our quantum field generators. They're not trying to penetrate our defenses. They're making our own technology unreliable." On board the UES Defiant, Sarah Chen watched the chaos unfold with grim satisfaction. "Activate Phase 2, she ordered. Across Earth's orbital space, hundreds of seemingly abandoned spacecraft suddenly powered up. These weren't the advanced warships the Archons had expected. They were retrofitted cargo vessels, mining ships, and space station modules. But each had been modified with one purpose in mind: to exploit the weaknesses in over-reliant quantum technology. "Remember," Sarah broadcast to her fleet, "we're not trying to match their technology. We're making it work against them. Standard formation Delta. Let's show them why humans are the galaxy's greatest improvisers." The human fleet moved in perfect coordination, but not with the rigid precision the Archons expected. Instead, their formation seemed almost chaotic, constantly shifting and adapting. Each ship acted independently while contributing to the larger strategy, a level of tactical flexibility the hierarchical Archons had never encountered. "They're using their inferior maneuverability as an advantage," Cora's tactical officer realized. "Our targeting systems are calibrated for precision strikes against advanced vessels. These humans are moving too erratically, too unpredictably for our weapons to track effectively." The Archon fleet's superior technology had become a liability. Their quantum weapons required microseconds of stability to lock on targets, but the humans never stayed still long enough. Their ships danced through space in patterns that seemed random but were carefully calculated to disrupt the aliens' targeting systems. "Launch our fighters," Cora commanded. "Let's see how they handle direct combat." But as the Archon strike craft deployed, they faced another surprise. The humans had prepared for this too. Hidden among the debris fields were thousands of automated drones, simple machines guided by basic AI. They weren't powerful enough to threaten the Archon ships directly, but they didn't need to be. The drones swarmed the alien fighters, not attacking but interfering with their sensors and communications. It was like fighting in a thunderstorm of electronic noise, with human ships striking from unexpected angles before disappearing back into the chaos. Breaking point. The battle had raged for hours, and Admiral Cora was facing a situation she had never encountered in centuries of warfare. Her technologically superior fleet was being systematically neutralized by an enemy that shouldn't have been able to scratch their shields. Multiple ships reporting critical systems failure, her status officer announced. The human's magnetic interference is causing cascade failures in our quantum cores. We can't maintain stable power distribution. But it wasn't just the technical aspects of the battle that were causing problems. The human tactics were unlike anything in the Archon combat database. They didn't follow any recognizable military doctrine. Instead, they seemed to be making up their strategy as they went along, adapting and changing faster than the Archon's tactical computers could analyze. On the Defiant, Sarah Chen was orchestrating humanity's defense with the precision of a conductor leading an orchestra of chaos. "Status of Operation Pandora?" she asked. The Archons took the bait, her tactical officer reported. Their ships are clustered in the predicted formation, trying to maintain their quantum field integrity through proximity. Sarah nodded. It was a logical response, but also exactly what they had planned for. Launch the Nest devices. Across the battlefield, hundreds of small, unpowered capsules were released from human ships and defense platforms. The neural electronic suppression transmitters were another example of humanity turning simplicity into strength. They didn't try to overpower the Archon's quantum shields. Instead, they emitted precisely calibrated electromagnetic pulses that created resonance patterns in the aliens' defensive fields. Their shields are starting to harmonize with the Nest frequencies, Sarah's science officer reported. The effect is amplifying itself across their formation. The Archon fleet's mighty quantum shields began to flicker and fail, not from any direct attack, but from the subtle manipulation of their own energy frequencies. It was like using a wine glass's resonant frequency to shatter it. Simple physics turned into a devastating weapon. Counterstrike. As the Archon fleet struggled to maintain their defensive systems, humanity launched their counterattack. But instead of a traditional military assault, they employed a strategy that showcased their greatest strength, the ability to turn apparent weaknesses into advantages. "All ships, execute Operation Looking Glass," Sarah commanded. The human fleet began emitting specific patterns of radiation, garbage data by Archon standards. But hidden within this electronic noise were precisely targeted commands that played havoc with the aliens' quantum computers. The Archons had built their systems to be impervious to advanced hacking attempts, never considering that someone might attack them with what they considered obsolete technology. "How are they doing this?" Cora demanded as her ship systems began behaving erratically. "Their technology is centuries behind ours. That's exactly why it's working," her science officer realized. "Our defenses are designed to stop quantum intrusion attempts. These humans are using basic electronic warfare principles we abandoned ages ago. Our systems don't know how to handle it." The human fleet pressed their advantage, coordinating their attacks with a level of adaptability that the Archons couldn't match. Each ship acted independently while contributing to the larger strategy, creating patterns of chaos that were impossible for the aliens' tactical computers to predict. The warning. As her fleet's capabilities continued to degrade, Admiral Cora faced a decision she had never imagined possible. The supposedly primitive humans had systematically dismantled her force's technological advantages, turning the Archon's own sophistication against them. "Admiral," her second-in-command reported, "we've lost quantum field coherence across 60% of the fleet. Our weapons systems are operating at minimal capacity. We need to withdraw." Before Cora could respond, Captain Chen's voice came through their communication system. "Admiral Cora, I'm offering you one final chance to retreat. Not out of mercy, but because humanity wants to send a message to your empire and any others who might follow." "What message?" Cora asked, her mandibles clicking in barely contained rage. "That technological superiority isn't everything. That humanity's greatest strength isn't our weapons or our ships. It's our ability to adapt, to think differently, to turn disadvantages into advantages. We survived and thrived on a planet that tried to kill us countless times. We've faced extinction-level events and emerged stronger. We've turned our limitations into strengths." Sarah paused, letting her words sink in. So take this warning back to your empire. Humanity isn't interested in conquest or dominion. We want to explore, to learn, to grow. But if forced to fight, we will. And we will do it in ways your empire has never imagined. The battle had lasted less than a day, but it had shattered centuries of Archan military doctrine. They had encountered a species that didn't just think outside the box. They refused to acknowledge the box existed at all. As the Archan fleet retreated into hyperspace, Sarah Chen looked out at Earth, its blue surface peaceful despite the battle that had just taken place in its orbit. Humanity had faced its first interstellar threat and emerged victorious, not through superior technology or overwhelming force, but through ingenuity, adaptability, and the unique human talent for turning disadvantages into strengths. The galaxy would never be the same. The legend of how a primitive species had defeated one of the most powerful empires in known space would spread, carrying with it a crucial lesson. Never underestimate humanity's capacity for innovation, especially when backed into a corner. For in the vast expanse of space, it wasn't the species with the most advanced technology that would survive and thrive. It was the ones who could adapt, improvise, and overcome. And in that arena, humanity had just proven themselves masters.